Hello and welcome back to Bournemouth RC. So tonight is the last part in this build video. We've done all the main central parts, all the sort of diffs, the motor mounts, everything like that. All we've got to do now is transfer over some of the simple bits, but also change the ESC plate for the M2C racing one. And the Servo Axle, again for that little M2C one there. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by turning this over, dropping everything off as one unit. If any of your screws underneath have got dirt in, take a tiny little screwdriver, get that dirt out before you go and round off any of your screws. Okay, a couple of important things to note. These here are your battery screws, battery tray screws. You can move them about. I'm happy with where they are, so I know that it's the two furthest forward ones. So I'll be putting them back in the same spot, so just take note of that now. Obviously you've got your side guards here, your battery trays, and then your ESC mount over here. So there's the old chassis then. Let's get rid of that and have a look at what's underneath. Now this is a point where you'll see lots of stones and stuff that get caught underneath the battery trays there. So make sure obviously you get all them out. It's a good chance as well, just to give everything a little bit of clean off. So I'm going to give everything a little bit of a clean off, then we'll come back and we'll start putting it together. Okay, so now we've got this off, what we're going to do is take off the ESC, ready to fit the new ESC plate. So first thing to do, take off the screws around the ESC. Okay, now what you need to do is get the ESC off the board below. Now it will have a bit of sticky tape below there. Now I go in with a nice big wide chisel so it doesn't do any damage to anything. If you're going in with a little screwdriver, just be careful that as you're levering, you're not putting too much pressure in one point. Now what's really important to do here now is clean these surfaces off, especially under the ESC. Not too bad on this side because you're going to put the plate over the top, but on the ESC you really need to clean this off. Okay, so now I've got this really clean. I've cleaned up that a little bit. I'm not too worried about that side because the plate's going to go on there and that's bolted down. Well, so is the ESC, but just give the ESC a little bit of extra sticky by putting something on there. So the next thing to do, take out the two bolts at the top here. And then get your plate ready. So your plate's going to sit on here. It clicks in as it has recesses on the bottom. So M2C racing logo up. So in the packet then, you get some new bolts. And you also get 4 tiny ones here. Now that's to go from the underneath up into the hobby wing plate. So this plate here has the 4 holes for the hobby wing, has the 4 holes for the Spectrum, but also has the holes for the XLX2 on here as well. So you can fit any of those ESCs on here. I don't need those 4 little screws. What I need to do is start with the outside ones. Now before I put my ESC on there, I am going to put an M3 sticky pad in there, more for cushioning than anything. I just want a little bit of cushioning there, so I'm going to clean this off first of all. A little bit of brake cleaner on a bit of rag. Get rid of any grease or anything that is on there. Leave that a few seconds just to evaporate. Once it's evaporated, just chuck that in the middle of that ESC there. Peel the back off. Now this way you've got to be careful, because if you just rush and stick that straight down, you're not going to get the holes lined up. So just be really, really careful that those holes are lined up, ready to go, and then stick your screws back through. Make sure you get your switch back on there. Now you don't have to take the switch off if you don't want to, but it makes it a lot easier to turn the ESC over and clean it up properly. Okay, so that's the ESC plate done. Time to pop out that spindle there and that bearing, if I can get them apart. That's it. Out with the old spindle, in with the new. The old one's plastic, this one's aluminium, a lot stronger. Okay, now that feels obviously a little bit looser just because the old one was stuck in there with a little bit of dirt. So be careful of that as you put it back in, make sure it goes in line. Now time for the fun part. Putting everything back on to the car. So, I'm going to start with this side plate here because this is the one that houses the steering. So line the holes up from the top, push the screws up through the bottom, just do a couple of turns. Time to get the ESC into place. Make sure your spindle goes in. Make sure that's loose, stuff ready to go up to there. Okay, once you've got one in, you can then slowly spin the car over, holding on to the ESC, and that will get you access to these screws to get them in. And I can do the front one there, just the other side of the steering spindle. Okay, now time to get your battery trays in. One of the wider holes goes towards the front. One of the closer holes on this slider here goes towards the back. Just roughly hold them into place there with your fingers. This is where such a big car isn't the easiest. Okay, so now that side's done, flip the car over and repeat the process on the other side. Now with this one here with the cutout, it's important to remember that your one longer bolt from the underneath went through and went into that there. So on the other side it's got the nut there, and that is your front one. Last thing I need to do, as always, I set that impact gun to real low, so I like to just go around, check they're all tight. Okay, one last thing to do then, plug the motor in. There is one more screw, guys. Can't forget that one. Steering. This is going into aluminium. It's a tiny bit of Loctite. And there we have it, guys. All ready to go. Can't wait. You might be able to hear in the background some little fans going. That's my chargers. Charging up my batteries. Ready to go out and give this hell in the morning. Can't wait to get this out with the 27 tooth pinion. I've sorted out all the diffs and sorted out all the shocks as we've been going along. So we'll now bottom out, slightly lighter weight shock oil in there. Let's put some earplugs in the centre diff, 500,000 in the rear, 1 million in the front. We are ready to go. Let's get out and give it some hell. If you like the video, please subscribe, comment below, and come back for the next video, which will be this beast running.